Greetings, guys. Welcome to AEZ Canada, episode number 19. It's good to be here. I'm Matty G. We've got Siren with us. How you doing, Siren?
I'm doing absolutely amazing, thanks.
Awesome. And of course, we've got the man who started it all, Connor. How are you feeling today, bud?
I felt better, but it's great to be on. It's always a good time on AEZ Canada.
Nice. And we also have another brother from the U.S. side of things. Fine gentleman, Adam. Thanks for joining. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Matt. Thank you guys for having me on tonight. Very excited to be part of the crew tonight.
Awesome. Well, we've got lots to talk about as usual, and the focus will be on AEW, and we might sprinkle in a little WWE, maybe a little WCW, a little ECW. We've been kind of chatting offline before the show and pulling up memories from all these different promotions. So you never know who's going to sneak in, but it's great. But we always start off with our Dynamite review, and lots going on. So Adam, if you want to kind of start us off with some of the review and what we have first.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as everybody knows, is Dynamite was the Winter is Coming from Texas. Big event, actually, because it had many matches with the Continental Classic. You had the return of the Von Erich family in Texas, which is where they're big in. So very excited for them. You had promos from Samoa Joe and Hangman Page, where Hangman Page also had a match with Roderick Strong. So a lot going on. The Golden Jets were appearing on that show, but we start a lot of things off on that show with Hangman Page coming out to cut off the accusations by Samoa Joe, who opened the show. It is a rarity we get to see Samoa Joe open a Dynamite. So it was very rare, very exciting to see him open it and making accusations, hence the attack on MJF with a beer bottle. Samoa Joe already goes to Hangman Page, and Hangman Page comes and defend himself. And in the middle of that, Roderick and the Kingdom show up, of course. Adam, all that fun stuff. Yeah. So they come out and kind of warn Page and warn Joe. And that kind of leads us into the first match with Hangman Page versus Roderick Strong.
I'm gonna quickly go back to Joe's little accusation at the beginning, because he says something that I just giggle about every time I think about it. And when he's talking about the beer bottle and finding the beer bottle, he's like, and that's when I noticed a scent of senses and disappointment. And then I was like, I smelled that before. I was like, oh man, and it got me so good. And every time I think about it, it still gets me so good. I think that's gonna be one of those lines that just one of those promos, one of those things. It was just good. It was great. I liked it a lot. So.
Connor, did you get a chance to check out that match?
Yeah, not a lot. I had to go back and watch, but I thought it was a really good match. Wish Roderick Strong would have won with the help of the Kingdom, because I thought that he could have used that win, because the previous week he had that really good promo, but Hangman won, but he didn't end the night winning, I wouldn't say. But I thought it was a pretty good first match. It's a very different match. I don't think those two have ever won against each other in AEW or outside of AEW. If they have, it was Ring of Honor, early Ring of Honor. But I thought that was a pretty good first match.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That was a really good match. I was, because I know they're building up, Strong. But, again, Page coming off that massive, huge match, right, which with, I guess, the Texas Death Match, and him losing that one, you kind of figured he had to come back for that kind of performance. They had to let him have a good win. I think it would have been very detrimental if he lost this one, even though they're building up Roderick. So there was that. There's a time I wasn't sure. That was, I do find that's something really that's really good about AEW right now. They're putting matches together that aren't always a slam dunk for one of the wrestlers, which is good, because it creates that anticipation.
Exactly.
Great wrestlers, and I think Adam Page has been getting some unwarranted. I mean, I don't know why people always comment, why does he still have a job? He sucks. I don't understand why he gets so much hate, though. I mean, I think he's a really good wrestler. I think he's always, he's been a team player. He's been in there. He does whatever he asks. He's been extreme. I don't have a problem with him. I feel like they're giving him more of a push, and his promos are starting to get a little stronger again.
That was the problem with him. I don't think he ever had strong promos. I think that he is literally every moment that he came on the camera, It like makes me audibly like, ugh, and he's getting better. But like even when he was like, and I'm not shy to admit my opinion is I think that he was the absolute worst AEW champion out of the run of all of the AEW champions. I think that his run was very boring. He talked a lot and his promos were really long and dragged out. And every time that I just was like, I would love to skip this, but what if he says something important? Like, which he didn't. So like, I don't know. I mean, and that's my opinion. I really think that again I agree with you on all of the pretty much everything that you said. I think that his in-ring is fantastic. I think that now his story is getting a lot better now that he's back with the Bucks and he's not so wishy-washy with the whole like going Dark Order and then not and then like I'm really glad that he's deciding to like buckle down and do something for sure. But like whoever they got coaching him in the back on the mic, keep doing what you're doing because he needed it and.
I do miss the drink, Adam Page. I liked when he said that he's had his little like low ball.
Yeah. Well, I mean, or the beer, whatever. But like, I don't know. Like, I do think that, like I said, that was the only problem that I had with him is like listening to him talk before was just like this is so boring. Like, and he would repeat himself, and it would just be like, and it would drag on and on. And then he would talk slower, and you're like, oh my God, man, I get it. You're serious right now. You're serious. You're so serious, but get through it. Get through it so I can get to the next one. Like, and that, but like, I mean, he's getting so much better. I will admit that. I'm not gonna knock on him right now. He is doing so much better with his mic work. But that was the only problem that I ever had with him. He bored me to death.
Gotcha.
Guys, I think that was the issue is who you pair him up with as far as
for sure.
Because you saw it with Punk. Punk kind of brought him a little bit out of that comfort zone, but I think his feud with Swerve, I think that really opened up Adam Page with promo work because 100%. Swerve is so good, not only on the mic, he's awesome in the ring. He's a great persona. I mean, he's just a great aura in that company. And I think they're also gearing to build him up a little bit, but the reason why Adam Page was so stale, and Siren, I kind of agree with you. He might have been, I don't hate the guy, but he might have had one of the worst runs as an AEW champion out of all of them. I didn't really enjoy his feuds when he was champion. I mean, he wrestled Adam Cole twice, and then he feuded with the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer, in that Texas Death match. And, I mean, obviously it was the story arc of getting the title from, Kenny Omega. But I honestly didn't think he was great. But it's the promo and who you're matched up with as far as like story-wise. I think that person's going to bring up the best in you when it comes to shooting promos.
I totally agree. And I think Swerve is so creative and he has such a great wrestling mind. And his work is on mic it's absolutely phenomenal. So I think, pairing him with Swerve was a solid idea. They bounce off each other so well. Their styles contradict so well, and it works good. I really enjoy their storyline. It's actually making me not, want to bang my head against something when I see Adam Page come out.
To your point, if you asked me to rhyme off all the AEW champions, I would have totally missed Adam. I forgot until you brought that up that he actually was champion. That's like how memorable, right? And it's not even like there's a long history of champions, and I already forgot Adam Page is champion. So, but
even though I'm not really 100%, I have a really good memory. Everything AEW, I can actually tell you every person he went against. I feel like the best two matches were his Danielson matches.
I agree.
That was probably the best match out of the whole entire. Didn't it go like an hour long in the first match? Then he went against Adam Cole twice. Then he went against Lance Archer, Dante Martin for whatever reason, and then he went against Punk. I thought the matches were pretty decent besides the Dante match because that was kind of a squash match. But I thought that he could have had I thought they shouldn't have done Adam Cole and Hangman again after the first time.
Well, I mean, he was boring. Like I said, you guys even said the matches were good. The matches were good. His in-ring work is fantastic. His technical wrestling ability is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, he's not boring to watch wrestle. But as we were mentioning earlier, you need a little bit more. Like I'm definitely, I'm not like, I don't want to sit here and watch a 3-hour program with 2 hours of it being talking and story building and stuff like that. But like one of the biggest things that I was excited for when they brought over Adam Copeland was his attention to detail and the little bits that he can put into story. And I do think that story is important. And I think that every time it came to Adam Page's story, I was just like, oh. I just couldn't care about him. He couldn't make me care about him.
All right, let's go on to the next. Adam, what do we have next?
Well, after all that, all the segments, the matches, we come back. We have our first Continental Classic Blue League match of the night on that episode, which is Andrade El Idolo versus Brody King. These two, I can't remember where they sit in on the standings, but I think they both have some. I think they both have 6 points, maybe. At the point at that time, I might be off. I can't remember at the time. But it ended up having some good back and forth in the match with El Idolo actually winning and taking the 3 points in the tournament.
You know what? I actually went back to watch some of this, and I think this tournament is really bringing out some favorites. You can see people are loving Brody and they're loving Andrade. Like it was almost like who was the baby, who was the face, and who was the heel in this match, because both of them were doing heel moves and both of them were all getting almost like face reactions. I love both these guys. I think they're both great. Really back and forth. They're totally different. Like there's size difference, style difference, but they work really well together. I love how the guys, especially when they're pulling those heel moves, they're still trying to do those cheat moves. Like Andrade is almost over as a face right now, but he's doing, I guess maybe he's using influence of his father-in-law or soon-to-be father-in-law, Ric Flair, that you know, you still, it's the being like that dirtiest player in the game to get what you want, but you can still be a face, right? And so I like that, and I think the fans are really gravitating to it, and I can see he's enjoying it. Like you can see Andrade, he wants that now. He's really picking it up and playing to the crowd. So I really like this, and this is one of the reasons like I love this tournament, because you're getting these matches that don't have to make sense because they're just in a tournament, and that's what makes sense. There's no extra storylines, anything like that. Yeah. If anything, they might create storylines out of the tournament because people were like, great match, I want to see more. And they're like, okay, let's play with these guys again. So if anything, they're just seeing what the crowd likes, who's over. Okay, like I really think after this, we're going to see some more from Brody King. I think it's inevitable. So. Right, I think he's actually coming out of the front runners, almost like the most over face of the team, right, of the House of Black. So, but I don't know, maybe what you guys think.
I love when big men fly. I love when big men fly. This is like one of the best matches for that too. Like watching it, and I'm glad that they replayed it as many times as they did, because like when I'm watching by myself, and I was with you guys live that night, so like when I'm watching by myself, I'm like and I replay, and you know. But that slam, the crossbody into the Brody, I was like, I wouldn't want to take that. I wouldn't want to take that slam. And Andrade, it looked so good. So that was my move of that match, was just, but yeah, no, I all in all, I loved it. I loved both of them. I'm just happy to see Andrade back, and I'm excited to see what they can do, because they're both big men that can fly. Like they can both move fairly well. I would really like to. Well, I mean, Andrade a little bit better, but I mean, I would really, really love to see like more, as you were mentioning, like more story with them going forward. I think that would be really nifty. But I mean, I don't know how you would do it, but I think it'd be great. It was a solid match. Their chemistry was great.
Yeah, good. Connor, what do you think? Did you have a chance to see this one?
Yeah, this was my favorite match of the night. Andrade is one of my favorites since Collision started, and then they brought up a lot of these guys back, like Andrade, Miro. Ever since they brought him back, he's like I've always known that he could have good matches because he's had before, but he's just proven everyone right again that he's capable of putting on good matches. I remember when Collision first started, the ladder match with Buddy Matthews and Andrade, that was a really, really good match. And I'm loving this tournament because it showcased something like Andrade and showing that he's always been good in the ring. This is now he needs to remind people that he is. And he's got 9 points. He lost on Collision. Who did he lose on?
Who, Andrade?
Yeah, he lost to Claudio, but he's like at the top on the Blue League. I thought this was a really good match. Every match he's had in this tournament hasn't really been a bad match. He went against Danielson. He went against, I think Daniel Garcia. He went against one time. But I really like this match. This is my favorite match of the night. Normally,
did he fight Daniel Garcia?
He
I
did
think he
fight
did on
Daniel
a
Garcia.
collision, maybe.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
He's won all of his matches except the one on collision against Claudio, I believe. But he's had really good matches with Danielson in the tournament. And this one was a good match too. And Brody King's actually one of the top in the Blue League too. He pulled off an upset and beat Eddie Kingston. This is my favorite match of the night, and I'm glad we're getting to see Andrade more in AEW.
Me too.
Me too. Adam, your thoughts?
I mean, this is probably some of Andrade's best work since he came to AEW. I think he was shortchanged over in WWE when he was over there. Didn't really get to show a lot what he could do in these matches. And this match in general, I'm with you, Connor. This might have been one of my favorite matches to watch highlights from. I mean, the fact of how, like Siren said, the way that Brody can move in the ring for a big guy. I remember our interview we had with Eric Redbeard, and we were told him that big guy wrestling is some of my favorite stuff, and I think between Andrade and Brody in this match, it was awesome. And again, the chops. I mean, the chops in any match, but these two guys, because I mean, you guys said it. Andrade's father-in-law is one of the greatest, regardless of my thoughts on him. But and father-in-law and Ric Flair kind of put the flair, as you would say, in chops. In chopping guys. So. And you had a lot of that in this match, a lot of back and forth with the chops. But it was a good fight. I think actually with this loss, I think Brody is actually out for contention for that league. But Andrade is sitting up top there for a possibility of moving on. But yeah, like you said, Connor, this was a good stretch for Andrade. He had that win against Danielson on Collision. Now he's got this win over Brody on Dynamite. So I think we're just going to see nothing but good things coming from Andrade the rest of the year, and maybe even in 2024 we might see some good things from him. And I think we might see a breakout for Brody King. He might be a breakout guy from House of Black, and I wouldn't put it past him because he's still got a lot to give in the ring for a big guy, So I'm actually really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, no, me too. And I loved Andrade. I thought Andrade had an amazing run in NXT. I thought that's when NXT for me was almost really at its peak. And I loved it. And I totally agree with you. He had such momentum going in, and which you've seen a few times with NXT guys going up to WWE. They don't continue that momentum for some reason. They kind of stall them. They go to the back to the line. So I didn't like him there. But if you took his NXT run and then threw this over top, to me, that completely makes sense. It's keeping that momentum, but like you can see how he's had to claw his way back up to this point. And they kept on pushing, like talking about how big and how much muscle he's put on, but then they kept on referring back, well, he's still, this in Mexico, and he could still do this. He's still in the background. So it's neat to say that. So yeah, that is exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing more from both of these guys. I think what's nice about AEW is there's all these guys, especially these tournaments. We can all picture them having great matches for a title or could have a title run. Like I think Andrade would be great with a title. I think, Brody King could have a title. So I think there's some really good guys that as these matches go, you're like, I could see him as champs. There's, throwing Swerve in there, right? There's so many guys.
Swerve needs gold.
Yeah, he will be. And I definitely think Swerve will be champion. But what do we have? What was next after that amazing match?
We got a segment.
Well, yeah, we had a segment. We had a segment with the Golden Jets, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, number one contenders for the World Tag Team Championships, which was officially made at World's End. You had a segment of them talking about both, Big Bill and Ricky Starks, who are the champions. And they came out and they had a promo battle back and forth, and it was made official at World's End at December 30th. They will have the World Tag Team Championship match.
I don't think they will. I don't think they will. Well, I mean,
Well-
Kenny's out right now, and if it is what it is, if it is what people are saying it is, he could be out for a bit. If it was as bad as it got, I mean, like my father-in-law had the same issue, and it seems like if Kenny has been putting up with this as long as he has, it might be. I mean, it can be a not fun thing to deal with, and definitely if it gets bad enough, if like he said they saved his life, they caught it in time, they saved his life. So if it is what people are speculating,
What is it
then
exactly? What are they
people
saying?
are speculating diverticulitis. So diverticulitis is essentially where like a pocket of bacteria is created in your intestines, and it gets infected, and it can, if you don't catch it right away, you can like literally lose whole bits of your intestines, have to have like a colostomy bag and stuff like that. Like, it's really not good. So like wrestling, probably not, right? So like depending on how bad it is, like depending on if he had to go to surgery, like nobody really has been saying anything about it, but like if you look back, the way he has seemed a little disinterested, I was worried that maybe something had happened with the mesh for his hernia or something, because I'd noticed I'm very much a body language person. And like little details person. So like I've noticed he's been every once in a while tender tummying it, right? And it's like, and so if it is diverticulitis, hopefully they caught it soon enough and it doesn't need surgery or anything like that. But either way, his whole diet is gonna need to change, like the lifestyle is gonna need to change, like things are gonna need to change. Do I think he's gonna be back? And I mean, and if he is gonna do World's End, uh, like I've seen a full grown man, like, crippled over on the floor, like almost in tears because of the pain that this causes. If he's been suffering with it for as long as it looks like he has, man is strong, but like I don't see him wrestling in.
I did. I mean, that kind of makes sense if he was in pain, because I did find he seemed a little off.
Yeah, he seemed
in
disinterested
his
almost.
delivery,
Mhm.
like it's just some almost distracted or not prepared. So again, he could have been trying to do his best and working through intense pain there.
Pain.
I found that it was actually Ricky Starks was the best one. He really pulled it together. I think kept the back and forth going and the flow, because I thought even Jericho's wasn't. I know that some of the things he was throwing out there wasn't getting maybe the reaction that he was hoping, and
Yeah,
then
it fell flat.
right, and then fell flat, and then with Kenny kind of stumbling on a few things.
I think he's
It just,
hurting though.
it just didn't, yeah, it wasn't crisp. So, I mean, if that makes the case, if Kenny was in a ton of pain and probably shouldn't have even been out there, then you got to give props. But I just found that the promo was a bit off, but I give it to Ricky Starks for pulling it together.
I also saw Big Bill in his ear whispering a couple of times, like giving him some stuff. I'ma say it as somebody who didn't know Big Cass and Enzo and all of that. Like, I knew Big Bill as, oh my God, this man is a giant. Why the hell would you call him Big Bill? There's so many different names and so many different ways to market this freaking behemoth of a man. Like, there's so much you could do with him. And then, and he didn't talk very much. I didn't feel like he was very good. Dude, some of the promos that he has been dropping, the fluidity, maybe I don't really care for much what he's saying, but like the fluidity in which he says it, I'm like, bro, I didn't know you could talk like that. Like, cool. Like, it was very shocking to me.
You talking about Bill?
Yeah. No, I'm talking about Bill. Like, I was shocked. I was shocked that man could string together sentences in the way that he does. And he's been showing that to me for the last couple of weeks, which I've been shocked. They've been handing him the mic. He's been very articulate. I don't really care much for what he's saying or necessarily how he's like delivering it with attitude wise, but the fact that he is like enunciating and he is putting that out there, that is better than a lot of people's promo work that I have seen. It's better than Jade's promo work. I mean, not near the end. She was getting a little bit better, let's face it. But yeah, but I definitely can see improvement in Big Bill. But why the fudgicles are you going by Big Bill? Rebrand yourself, bro. Do it. I can't get behind you as Big Bill. I can't.
His name was W. Morrissey. That in Impact, now it was W. Morrissey. Like when he first came to AEW, he did something with MJF, wasn't it? Like that's what they called him. And then when he got signed, it was Big Bill.
I just think that's so dumb. And everyone's like, oh yeah, well he was Big Cass. And I'm like, that's even dumber then. Why would you take that and then bring it here at all? Would you not want to be like, okay, no, I'm going away from that. By the way, with the Enzo thing, do you think with like the whole Jericho making the Enzo comment, they have brought him up like 3 times in the last 3 months. People are speculating about that. I don't know much about Enzo. I just want to throw that out there. People have been
I don't think it will happen just because of his private situation going on in his life. He's been brought up many times in lawsuits by female wrestlers. He has been accused of many things by many people in the
just
industry.
stay over there then.
So right now I think the independent scene is really where he needs to be. I mean he's just a talker, you know, and that's basically what he is. You know, when I watched him a little bit in NXT, I really wasn't impressed with him. I was more impressed with William Morrissey, with W. Morrissey, and that's who I was more impressed with. That's who I felt like was going to get the big push. Was Morrissey.
Cool. See, this is cool because I can ask you guys about that kind of stuff because I don't know, and so thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, if you want to go back and see what Big Cass was like, or Big Bill, what he actually did a lot of promo work when he was in NXT and WWE. But he was with his partner was the biggest mouthpiece in the organization. They had I mean, Enzo was kind of one-trick pony. He's just like a show guy, right? He is sports entertainment for sure with wrestling on the side. So a lot of people get irritated because he was able to get himself up, but not having the wrestling ability and getting a championships. And he was the cruiserweight champion, you know, and people were irritated because he was just a mouthpiece and his in-ring skills was really lacking. So if you go back, I mean, so Enzo, again, he's got the character. They're part of a good kind of character bunch, but kind of fell apart. And then I guess Big Bill had some really big issues, alcohol issues that took him out, and he almost died, I think, right?
That I did know about. Anybody, as you guys may know or not, I'm recovering alcoholic myself. So like any substance abuse or anything like that kind of stuff I looked up. So I'm really proud of him for that. And he's very open about it. And I think that more people need to be open about that in this industry because there's a ton of problems that come along with throwing your body at stuff for years. Absolutely. And and living in the limelight and people taking stories as real life and really sending you death threats that really affect your mind in a weird way. So I think that's something that definitely people need to talk about more. Sorry to interrupt yourself. Very important substance.
No, it's 100% true. 100% right. I totally get it.
I'm very proud of him.
Yeah. So what have you got next after that segment there, Adam?
Well, up next we got a women's match on TV. Finally, women are finally getting the shine on AEW after many of us fans have been pushing for it. You had Rio wrestling Ruby Soho. Rio's first match back after being taken out by the Outcasts. So she's back. She beat Ruby Soho in the middle of the ring. She's basically on a collision course with Timeless Toni Storm for World's End. I know they are setting up a match between her and Saraya, however you want to say her name is. But they have a match set up between them for number one contender to face Timeless Toni Storm at World's End.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah. What do you? Go ahead. What are your thoughts, Sarah?
I just like Riho. I think she's great. And I think that she can pop up every once in a while whenever she wants, and she doesn't have to have a mouthpiece or drop the best promos, and she's fun to watch. She's one of those little things. It's like she's super noodly. She's like 98 pounds. Like try pinning her. It's great. I love it. And watching her wrestle is just so fun. Although I do really wish that she would stop doing that really, 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 really slow version of the 6-1 match.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know what? For someone who's had to rely on her in-ring presence and
100%.
creating her character from a lot of facial expressions and the way she moves, because again, it's just, and I get that that's difficult, especially when you're not in wrestling somewhere that you're not in your native tongue. So you can't really get on the mic, so you have to use all the other senses to really tell your character and your story. But I'm kind of I get it. She's good. I appreciate her talents. I'm kind of a take it or leave it. I'm kind of like a take it or leave it also with Ruby. There's so many times with Ruby that I'm like really hoping things get crisp, but then there's that just like the coordination sometimes is off. And I'm like, So I don't know. This match, I get it. Like they're both decent, but I really didn't have a vested interest. If anything, I mean, I mentioned how I feel about Tony Storm, and Tony Storm was my favorite part of that whole segment. So at least I'm like, okay, I get it. But I'm just this segment. You kind of take it or leave it. I know, Adam, that you mentioned, finally getting some airtime and some matches for the ladies, but this one right now, I'm not. I didn't really care too much for this one. Personally.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's good to get the match, and I'm with you on this. Connor and I both agreed to it. This might be the best work Tony Storm has ever done with a character. I am so in love with this timeless Tony Storm character right now. Just being a movie guy myself, and just remembering classic movies and all the names she brings up, I laugh because I know those names from movies that I saw, growing up as a kid. But no, some of the best stuff was heard during that match. I mean, when she brought up Tasmaniac on the commentary, and Taz just went, "Yep, going old school there." And then when Rio did a suplex to Soho, you hear her say something like, "There's absolutely no way she wouldn't be able to do that. I'm way heavy," or something like that. Like she wouldn't be able to pick me up. Like it is unbelievable work that Tony Storm is doing right now with that. And honestly, I think this is some of her best work.
I agree, and I really love that the company supports her by like every time they cut to her, like doing the black and white cut. I really enjoy that. I very much love the timeless character. I think that it is a great thing for not only her, but as I've mentioned, I think other people. She's really working in. It's so awesome. Like what a way to force yourself in there, And like okay, well I want to come out during somebody else's match. It's not even my TV time, but guess what? I'm timeless Tony Storm, and I love it. I just love it. I love it.
Yeah.
If I didn't like Tony Storm, I'm open.
You know what? I'll say there's one thing with it. Even if I'm not a huge fan, no one can accuse her of half-assing it. Like she is 100% into this, giving it its all, and so like no one can say at the end of it, even if it drops, that she didn't invest in this character. And you can see it. I think she actually enjoys this. Looks like she's having the most fun, and the more that the crowd plays to it, the more she's getting into the character. So I'm appreciating that quality of it. I'm appreciating it's like I don't care for that genre of music, but I understand why fans love it, right? So I appreciate her efforts, at least.
Exactly. Oh,
so what do you want to do? What's going on? What do you want to talk about next?
Oh, well, next we've got another Continental Classic match. This time it is Rush El Toro Blanco versus Jay Lethal. Black Machismo, in the Continental Classic. So this match was really fun. I like both these guys. Obviously, Rush gets the win. He's getting a good push right now in AEW, and I think he's so underrated out of that whole faction. He was the one that was so underrated when he came into it. I'm so glad to see him get some push because his matches have been solid in this tournament, and that's a lot to say. He's I honestly can't wait to see because they're in the same faction, but I'd love to see Rush and Andrade. Those two guys.
Are they still? Because I was wondering.
I don't know if Andrade is still part of that. I think he kind of passed it off to Rush, but the fact that they were in the same faction together for a while until Andrade. But I love for them to get back together either as opponents or a team again because these two guys have really they hit their strides. So this win for Rush got some more points, and for Jay Lethal, it kind of puts him on the bottom, and it's starting to frustrate him. I kind of see him breaking away from Jeff Jarrett and that group pretty soon. I feel like Jay Lethal may go solo here soon, which I think may be the best for him because I loved when he did his solo work both in Ring of Honor and TNA.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I really like Rush is running with this. I mean, you can see his personality. He is not giving it up. He wants that spotlight so bad. I would love to see him and Andrade. I think now with these runs and building each character separate, I think that'd be an like the faction, the level of that faction would go up, skyrocket. You add Andrade now, and then Rush they're both at their peak. I think it'd be awesome. Jay Lethal, you can see at the end. Again, it's the same as like Mark Briscoe, right? It's almost like, hey guys, you're gonna put these guys over. You're gonna lose all your matches. but you're going to be in the spotlight. You're going to have on, you know, major television, good spotlight. You're going to get 15, 20 minutes to show your shit. I like at your point, I think you could see at the end of that match as he was walking up the ramp and he was just feeling really frustrated. And he was even like, didn't even want to talk to, you know, the Jarrett and the other guys were like trying to console him. And he almost looked like he's frustrated with everything. So I don't know if that's kind of indicator window. Maybe he does go off. Maybe he does get the peak. I still think that these guys that have 0 points, but put guys over and did stellar matches will get a bit of a push for their efforts. I think that's why I think Mark Briscoe, he's going to get some love. And I think Jay Lethal is going to get some love as well.
I think a lot of people that they're putting into the mid category in AEW are not mid at all. And Jay Lethal, I feel like, is one of those people that got shoved into the mid category who is not mid at all. But you definitely need to watch Final Battle. I'm going to throw that out there at you again, Matt. You definitely need to, because as you mentioned, like, I mean, and we've all been talking about it. I know that I mentioned it when I was here with you guys, and I've been talking about it for the longest time. I don't think that him and the Jarretts are good together at all. I feel like it's just blah. It's run its course. It did what it needed to do, and now it's over. We're good. We can move forward. Like, keep going. Carry on, sir. And I definitely think that needs to happen, like, righty ho. Because, yeah, watch Final Battle. Please watch Final Battle. I would love to talk with you guys about Final Battle. Like, it'd be really great.
Maybe I'll have to watch it this week then, so then I can come back and say, hey, you're right. You're right.
I mean, I like when people tell me I'm right. So
I kind of figured that. Connor, any of your thoughts on this match, either with the Roosh or how you feeling about Jay Lethal? Maybe if you're seeing a new direction for him.
I thought it was a really good match. Not the best match of the night, but because that goes to Andrade and Brody King. But this is a really good match. Roosh doesn't really put on bad matches. If he did, he'd have to be wrestling Marina Shafir. There's no way to have he's not capable of having a bad match unless it's with someone like that. But Andrade's really good. I know someone was talking. I think it was Adam talking about, or was it Matt, about Andrade and Roosh and all them. I think that would be a very good team to go for a trios titles in AEW, because they really need some teams to go against the Acclaimed, or a Roosh and Andrade feud would actually be pretty good, because we never really got the explanation why Andrade isn't with them anymore. It was just kind of, he came back and they just went their separate ways. This is a really good match. I think next Wednesday, or technically tomorrow, they're doing Jay Lethal and Roosh, so someone's going to get a win. I'm leaning more towards Mark Briscoe getting the win and Jay Lethal closing out the tournament, not getting a single win. But yeah, this match was a really good match.
I agree.
So Adam, back to you.
We've got that followed by another Continental Classic match. We just got the Continental Classic matches all night on Dynamite, which was an awesome thing to see. Yeah. So you've got Switchblade Jay White versus Briscoe, Mark Briscoe. Again, another really good match. Jay White pulling out another win. And which is crazy, because we see Jay Lethal just had a world title match against, MJF. Now he's in this tournament, still trying to battle to win his technically first gold in AEW, because he hasn't won gold yet in AEW. He's in Bullet Club Gold with, Juice Robinson, the Guns, and the Guns are the only ones in that group that have won gold so far in AEW. So, I mean, you still got to wait for Juice Robinson and, Jay Lethal to, win some gold. But you had, Jay Lethal, or not Jay Lethal, Jay White. You had Jay White win tonight, win the match against Mark Briscoe with the Switchblade. Definitely a good match. I mean, there's never a bad match with a Briscoe. And Jay White is just so solid in his in-ring ability. He's awesome on the mic. He's all-around guy. I was so glad when he officially signed with AEW. I knew he would fit perfectly with it. So now you got, Jay White having some more points in the tournament, and Briscoe still without a win.
I'm totally, I'm really excited about this. I'm sorry. So we mentioned this during the last AEW or AEZ Canada and during the live. I have been like the biggest believer that, like, Briscoe's going through that metamorphosis. Like he's going from being tag guy to being singles guy. And so like it's just like I really hope they don't do him dirty and he gets like absolutely no wins this entire tournament, because I feel like that's not fair. But he has since this year cut a promo saying like, look dude, it's my rookie year, like, you know, essentially, because it is, as a singles wrestler, like he's fine with taking some L's, you know, all rookies take L's, and even though it hurts me as a fan to watch it, I get it, but yeah, like I feel like this match was needed. It was really 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 good. I'm not a super huge fan of Jay White, just because that man needs to do something with his pasties. He needs to hydrate. I can't look at him after his matches like, oh look, you won, great. But like other than that, like I do think it was a really phenomenal match. There was a really iffy bit with when Mark went out of the ring and he like bounced off the ring apron. I was like, but like other than that, everything looked really clean and I thought it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great match. One of the things I do like about the fact that Tony Khan owns Ring of Honor is when they do some of these flashbacks, and they're like this, they had an opportunity to talk a bit of a storyline. Like there's history, and I love when they show that, and they go actually glimpses of old Ring of Honor to kind of show like, hey, these guys were doing this way back, and a lot of them always like they look, you know, you can see the look. So I kind of like doing when they can talk about and use those flashbacks to tell the story for what's happening today. Jay White, I was never a New Japan really guy, so I only really knew him coming into AEW. Starting to be a big fan. Again, he's great on the mic. He always delivers. You can put him with anybody. He's great. I just find the way he pins guys a little uncomfortable. Where he has almost like slithers his body right in the middle over top. I'm like, and I know it's done. Like, but no, I think that it was a good match. I do think, Mark, I think what this year, this 2003, it was about him paying homage, losing the brother, showing respect to that, showing back to the group, what they do, them boys. But I think what's going to happen, you're going to see coming into this year, it's like, okay, this is Mark's year. This is Mark as the individual. This is Mark as a character. We're going to, obviously, we're never going to get rid of them boys, because that's him and that's his brother. But you're going to see more of, I think, of a character development and about him, because I think that's you have to. You can't have him it just always be in the past and is about his brother. He has to be something new. He has to be his own unique self, and I think they're going to give him the opportunity to do that. So I think it's going to be a good year for him.
They kind of got rid of them boys, though, in a way. I will say that, I mean, like, I don't want to be like spoiler alert or anything, but I'm sure you guys have checked the results for Final Battle, everybody. Yes, no, maybe at all.
No.
Okay, well,
okay.
I've already spoiled it for you. Everybody else should hopefully watch this by the time that it airs on Saturday. If you haven't, it's your fault. But okay, so when FTR and Mark take it against Blackpool Combat Club, when that music hits, it is Mark's, but it is Reach for the Sky, boy. That's it. No boys, not Reach for the Sky, boys, just boy. And it's very noticeable, and it's very, very there. And like, I'm this coming story, like this becoming the singles wrestler that I've been like literally, and the J Driller and everything, like the culmination of this moment, they really did put them boys into a special little box and put it over here for now. And now it is.
Yeah.
You know,
it's closure, right? It's closure. It's closure for the fans. So I think that's great, and that's why I think you're going to see kind of a change. It's like, okay, like you said, we're saying goodbye, respect, great. Okay, now he needs to move on. This is him now. We love his brother, but he's unfortunately gone. So I don't know what Connor, what do you think when it comes to this match?
I thought it was a pretty good match. I thought Marco was going to win there for a minute again. I'm real close from winning, then he lost. This is a really good match. I kind of seen Jay White winning. I kind of thought he was going to win, but just maybe he would win a match. But this match was a really good match. Most of all the Continental Classic matches are pretty good. There hasn't been really a bad one. Hopefully they don't do a women's Continental Classic, so someone won't have to be in there. I'd do it. Yeah, this was a good match, and I really hope to have Mark Briscoe come out with at least 1 or 2 wins in this tournament. It's ending pretty soon because the finals are at World's End. I thought this match was a really good match, and I'm excited to see what they do with Mark Briscoe going forward, especially in 2024.
Adam, any thoughts? Do you think that what's going to happen, especially with Mark for 2024, or even
I
the
think with Mark, I think with this, it's good exposure to him, and he's a Ring of Honor guy. So I think this is also good exposure for Ring of Honor. I think this is just going to push more for that TV deal or streaming deal that they do with Ring of Honor, and get more eyes on it, and maybe get more people to get the streaming service for it once it's all finalized.
Honor Club.
Yeah, so I mean, but they're pushing it. I'd honestly love to see Mark, push a little more to a singles title in 20. I mean, no spoilers, but I already know who wins the television title for Ring of Honor, Siren. Because
dirty bitch.
I know it just blew up on my phone as a notification. I was like, "There's no way that guy won. Come on." But you think about it. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to spoil it for people. But the person who's the champion is a former tag wrestler. Mark Briscoe is a former tag wrestler. They're now both singles guys. That's a story right there for the world title right there for the world TV title for Ring of Honor. I'd love to see Mark win that TV title in 2024. I mean, it'd kind of be like a full circle of what him and his brother did for Ring of Honor, and it almost like a thank you to Mark for what everything him and his brother have done for that organization from the very beginning that they were there. They had hell of matches in there, whether it was against FTR, whether it was against the Young Bucks. They just have a legendary history with that. And so, but yeah, I kind of saw Jay White win this match. He has to. He needs to get that momentum back from his crazy loss to MJF at the pay-per-view. So I do see Jay White having a decent 2024. I don't know where they go with him or Bullet Club Gold, but it'll be very interesting to see.
I'm very excited for actually what they're going to do with Jay White as well. I'm not the biggest fan, but I do see his potential and his star power there. So I mean, like, I can see why people enjoy him as much as they do, and I've seen his growth just from watching some of his older content to like knowing what I know of him now. I'm like, okay, wow, so like I can see it. Give you a couple of years and I might love you. Like, it's not that I don't like him, by the way. Let's clarify that. It's just, yeah, I feel like I can get a lot more attached with given more time.
So I think we're going to see a lot from these guys for 2024. But yeah, another great match. I'll say I love the time that they're giving these matches. There's no squash matches, thank God, because I'd find that very inappropriate for this type of tournament if they did any kind of squash match. Even the guys who were losing, they're getting full 15 to almost like 20-minute matches, which is great. So that kind of makes up for some of these guys losing by just providing a really entertaining match for each one of these tournaments. So going from there, what do we have after that match there, Adam?
Well, before that, I want to get to one of the backstage segments because, again, this did happen in Texas, home of one of the most popular and most polarizing families in professional wrestling history. That's the Von Erichs. Instead of doing something spectacular for them, they do a backstage segment where Kevin's sons, Ross and Marshall, are teaming up with Orange Cassidy for a match on Rampage against Daddy Magic and Jake and all those guys. And so I really think they missed an opportunity there to really promote that Iron Claw movie, which for me, I'm very excited to see. Because I just love it's sad, but it's an interesting story of the Von Erich family. So very interested in seeing that movie. And they could have capitalized on that for the release of it. That actually happens this weekend. It comes out. It's already out this weekend.
Thursday,
since you guys are watching on Saturday, it's out.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure you guys go see it because it's such it's a great story, but it's a tragic story as well. But they had that backstage segment as well. So I figured I'd throw that in there since it's such a interesting, integral part of pro wrestling with the Von Erichs.
I love it because it had Danhausen, but they throw around words like debut, just so you know, like it's their debut match at AEW. So I don't feel like it's just thrown around for the movie.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about some of these things. It's like Ric Flair coming out to promote because he's there to promote his drink, so they have his advertising there. They're bringing an old guy in to do that bit. I get it, kind of gets hyped up, but it's just like it's just fluff, right? And I get it, it's part of the promotion and stuff. So, but I was like, okay, I'll give it since it is they're the one of the famous families of all time. So I get it, did do it, but
Did you see the boys wrestle? Twice, because they've wrestled for AEW on AEW now twice.
Oh no, I haven't seen.
So it's not just one match that they've done; it is now 2 matches. And they are saying like I said, like things like premiere and debut matches. So I do feel like the boys are gonna be in AEW for probably more than just one match. In my humble opinion, we'll see how it goes. Usually they're pretty like good with their wording when it comes to stuff like that. They don't use like this would be like an appearance or like but using the debut, I do feel like they will be back and it's not just gonna be a promo thing. Watching those boys in that ring and seeing them light up, I do feel like that they're not just going to be like, okay, well, I'm done with that. I just don't see it. I just don't.
Now,
but I mean, again, I could be wrong.
We're talking about the boys.
Yeah, the brothers. I don't remember the Von Erich brothers' names. They're whatever.
I thought we were talking about Dalton Castle's The Boys.
No,
I didn't know if that's who we were talking about. Or...
I'm sorry, but we were talking about the Von Erichs. Yeah,
the Von Erichs, Kevin's kids.
Yeah, like they've had 2 matches.
I feel like they would be perfect for Ring of Honor. Like they wouldn't make it its own standalone thing. And when me and Chris went to Collision, they had Devon Dudley's sons on Ring of Honor. TNT, like 2 teams like right there would be pretty cool to see, like exclusively on Ring of Honor.
I would love it on Ring of Honor.
Build its own brand. If they ever want to get it on TV, they're going to have to build its own brand.
Agreed.
I'll say I'm on the other side. I am glad, and I had a feeling, and I was worried about that they'd end up burying Daddy Magic and Cool Hand. I thought after the breakup with Jericho, I thought, okay, because if this was WWE, they'd be gone. They'd be disappeared. Not even they'd be to main event or whatever, one of the lower like the shows. But I'm glad like they're keeping around. And then did Danhausen have the hat? I missed part of the match here. Did he have it?
He had it. Yeah.
I love that they're still keeping this hat story alive.
It's fun.
It's awesome. So I don't know. I'm still a fan. I still love Daddy Magic on the mic. I don't know if you guys like him at all, if you love him or hate him, but I find him very entertaining.
I definitely feel like they need to let Anna Jay fly, and she needs to move a little bit away from them, because they definitely like suck her light a little bit, and not because they don't flow well together. She did her best with Dark Order and with Rip, but like, I feel like Brody brought her out a lot more when he was around, and she was doing a lot better, and she was really becoming her own. A friend of mine and I were talking about her potentially adopting like a discus lariat, but I feel like she doesn't think that she deserves that quite yet. If you look at her, she's pushing for more, but like she was so much more confident before, and like I don't know, I feel like that I'm gonna choke you out. Like, and Jericho, what the hell were you doing? Like this man, Jericho, he's taken so many little rough talents, and they have somebody like Anna Jay, and all you're doing when you're coaching her and when she's working with you is I'm gonna choke you out. Really? Like, come on now. Anna Jay is actually to me one of the most disappointing storylines currently. It's getting better, but she needs to separate from them. Not that I don't like Daddy Magic and Cool Hand. I like them. They're great people. Anna Jay needs to fly on her own.
Yeah. You know what? I have that look, and I know, I guess I don't know if it's going to happen or it's too late. The way her look is, I think if they were going to create another group, I think she would actually do really well. If you're going to go, okay, like let's get her back, let's like have her focus with the team, the look. Mm-hmm. If now, I think she would actually fit with Sky Black and what's her name? Julia Hart. Like the 3 of them, I think if you had like a little faction, they all kind of look the same. They're all the black.
Be like
they can be hardcore.
Like the Craft.
I think that would be a good group if you had Anna Jay join those guys. That'd be a good.
I feel actually that'd be really cool. No, I could vibe that.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
that'd be awesome.
I'm a big Anna Jay fan, and just the way they're doing, like with her character, I don't get it. I think
They
her
did it
best
dirty.
match to date for me was that street fight she had with Ty Conte against Penelope Ford and the Bunny.
And
At
that was
the daily
ages ago.
place. I think that's been her best match in her whole career at AEW. It was so good. They put a lot of work in. I wouldn't put it past them with that following street fight they had with Ruby and Willow. I mean, because that was decent too. There were some good spots there, but it was almost like a rehash of that original street fight she had with Tay against Penelope and the Bunny. But I think up to then they really haven't done much with Anna Jay. So I don't know if she's getting too lost in the jungle, if you catch my drift. But no, yeah, I definitely would like to see her do much more in 2024.
Sorry, go ahead, Connor.
I did like on this past Rampage, she actually picked up a win because this year she only has four. She did only have 4 wins this entire year. But on Rampage, it was actually thanks to Daddy Magic she won. Because normally he ends up costing her every match, but on Rampage she actually beat Red Velvet. Finally, she won something. She's won 5 matches this entire year.
Yeah, it was neat.
I really like Anna Jay. She's like she was there when no one else was there during the pandemic, and they only had 3 signed women, and then they had to get a bunch of indie women, and then she was the one that really stepped up, and then Brody Lee took her under his wing, and then.
So what do you think? What if in 2024 they move her to Ring of Honor and maybe start a feud with Athena or as one of the top women there and give her a good push and a bit of a good run to build back her name up at Ring of Honor and then bring her back in because then her pedigree is going to be stronger when she comes up and maybe give her more time, more airtime, kind of let her start winning and build up some momentum in the Ring of Honor instead.
Okay, so I am a huge Ring of Honor fan. Like, I love Ring of Honor. For me, Ring of Honor and AEW go hand in hand. I really don't see how you can watch one and not the other. But I think that having her go in there with, Athena needs somebody. She literally spent the last couple of months building an opponent for herself. Like, she needs somebody to go against. And as you guys were mentioning, Anna Jay could be a little bit more badass, and she could come in as somebody who's like, I ain't one of your porcelain hussies that you talk about having over here. Like, and really lay it down as like a big badass and go for the Athena's gold. I think it'd be great. I think that'd be cool. I think that a lot of people out there are silly billies and feel like when people get switched around from AEW to ROH that it's a downgrade. But they should really look like what it's done for people like Athena, who I'm not gonna lie, like her face was absolutely phenomenal. She did a great face. But when she did her heel turn and went to ROH, damn. Like,
you definitely don't want to be a silly billy, that's for sure.
But no.
I kind of feel like that ROH is like kind of like when WWE tried to reboot ECW, it just wasn't the same like the original. Like it doesn't feel like ROH. Like I used to go back and watch like Kevin Steen and Sami Zayn, El Generico, and all these awesome feuds that were really really good. And now, like, is there a world title in ROH anymore? Like I think it's in the tournament now, isn't it? So they don't really have a world title, and the only title that's really on there is Athena, right? Like that's the only one really on there. So I kind of feel like this is the ECW where WWE tried to reboot it and it wasn't the same. For them to be a good product, they're going to have to be distant from AEW. They can't, like, it's just like they're just bringing everyone from AEW and just labeling it ROH. It's basically the new show, I hate to say, just the squash matches and like.
Yeah, to your point, you can't. It's not going to be successful if you're just continuing to have it as the minor leagues to the big leagues, right? And people, if you start seeing it as just the minor leagues, then it's never going to succeed. Just how people look at NXT is the step up to the big leagues in WWE. Ring of Honor is really the NXT, right? You guys know you guys are comparing AEW, but it is NXT, right? Send guys down, have some matches, build some stuff, get some experience, maybe. Bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you. And then bring it back up, right? So I compare more Ring of Honor as the NXT version.
See, and I have such a different outlook on that. I just feel like, again, it's an extension. It's like a different environment. You know what I mean? It's like a gym class and an art class, but it's all in the same fucking school. You know, like it's all under the same umbrella, right? But like, I want to be more of an artist, so I'm going to go fuck around over here in the art class. And then, like, I'd rather be more of this, so I'm going to go work on this, right? And I just feel like having with the amount of people that they have working for them, having these options and having the ability within your own technical like corporate umbrella to be like, you know what, I don't want to do this that you have me doing over here anymore, but I also don't want to fuck up what I have going over here. Let me just change completely and go fuck around over here for a little bit and then come back. You know, like I don't view any wrestling as more or less than any others, like ever. Like to me, wrestling is wrestling. Like I was talking to Connor about wanting to do something on WrestleCade because I think it is super awesome that we had a ton of AEW and ROH talent over at WrestleCade, and now like Violent J is the WrestleCade champion. Then what is going on? Wrestling is wrestling. All wrestling is good wrestling, in my opinion, unless you're like, I mean, technical good wrestling. And I mean, like, yeah, I don't see it as being necessarily more or less as any other because some people I honestly prefer I think they're way better than they ever were in AEW in Ring of Honor and vice versa. But like that goes both ways. It's not just like, oh well, it's a downgrade to go here for me. For Athena, it was a total upgrade, and I thought that was absolutely amazing. I love that Claudio can go back and forth between both, but I feel like his storylines are richer on ROH than they are in AEW. You know, I mean, like it's on how you watch and what you watch without the blinders on. You don't need to be like, oh well, that's a second-rate promotion, so therefore now they're a second-rate wrestler. That's just how people look at it, and that's not fair to the talent either. Like, if a rap artist wants to go do a country album, then like whatever, it shouldn't matter. And I think that's my opinion on ROH. Personally, I don't feel like they're gonna blow up and be like a third company that is gonna be in the big leagues with WWE and AEW. I don't think that's what they're made for. I think they're made to be what they are and to develop into something that is more than what they were before. And they're doing that. And I'm very excited for the future. And I'm also excited to see WWE at Forbidden Door. And I'm going to mention that almost every podcast until it happens.
Yeah, all very valid points. Adam, how are we doing so far in the show?
Well, we're actually to our main event. We had the main event, our final match, which is the Continental Classic, which is the most anticipated match through the whole tournament, which is Jon Moxley versus Swerve Strickland, both men undefeated in the tournament. This match had a lot of back and forth, had a lot of close near falls, had a lot of good back and forth, hard hitting points in the match. And a shocking ending to many people who would have thought went the other way. But Jon Moxley picks up the win against Swerve Strickland in this tournament. This one kind of threw everyone through the curve because of the momentum that Swerve is having after the 2-0 start over Adam Page. A lot of momentum for him. A lot of people think this is a momentum killer, but it might just be a wake-up call for Swerve. It might be something that, hey, this might be a storyline with him and Moxley now. Moxley cost him a perfect record in the tournament. Now he's going to go after Moxley. You see it as a build of kind of like Swerve going after former world champions going, dude, I beat you. I'm going to beat you now, even though you got one over on me, which is kind of where I can also see, I want to talk about the moment of how Moxley won was with a roll-up holding the tights. So it was kind of like a heelish win for Moxley. You kind of almost see where it was like, well, they're going to do a role reversal where Swerve is going to be turned to face now and Mox going to heel, because Mox has always balanced that line between heel and face, because everybody still loves Moxley, but there's a lot of people that are over his wrestling style. But yeah, this one was a big shocker to everyone with Moxley winning that match and basically remaining undefeated in that bracket.
You know what? I was actually surprised at this one. I thought it was going to be a draw because then it still keeps them tied and then keeps that into pace. And I know we talked about that on last week's show. But the thing is, if you look at it, kind of what we're talking about, the theme of this tournament is everyone saying, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever it takes. And everyone is doing heel moves. Everyone's like removing things, so guys banging, roll-ups, using foreign objects, like doing any little sneaky moves. I mean, look at everyone's going after Danielson's eye. That thing's been bleeding the whole tournament. So like everyone's like, even Andrade's like, hey, I'm a baby face, but I told you I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Hey, I got respect for you, but you get in there. So everyone's has that saying, hey, I respect you, but we're all dirty players in this. So I think everyone's doing it. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that because it's like a heel move done on a heel. Because then it's like, whoa, it just happened, and that just shows Moxley's like, haha, like I'm the original guy. Like he used to do this shit back and forth. So don't take me too lightly. I will do these moves too. So I think Moxley's just kind of showing again. He's keeping up the pace with a lot of the mentality of these guys. What do you think, Siren?
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really awesome. And I remember watching it live with you guys, and everyone was like, whoa! And I was like, and then I was like, wait a second. Moxley totally called it. He totally did. He was like, I foresee myself going, like, yeah, do I see myself going 3-0? Yeah. Do I see myself going 5-0? Yeah. Do I see myself taking the whole thing? Oh, yeah. And you know what? Oh yeah. So yeah, it was shocking, and I agree. Again, I don't think it's going to be a like momentum killer. I really don't. I agree with you, Adam. I do think it is going to be like, oh wait, was it Matt? Okay, wake up call. I think it's going to be a wake up call, and I think it's great because Swerve is already on such a freaking tear that to light a fire under his ass at this point would just be like, I'm so excited. Like wrestling gets like, you guys can't see it, but like I am like covered in goosebumps right now. Like wrestling literally like electrocutes my whole body when I talk about it. I am so excited for what the future holds, and it is a phenomenal time to be a wrestling fan. So
it is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And people got to remember that these two are going to meet again in the semifinals because they do the top two move on to the semifinals. And then so you got a run back with him and Moxley. I mean, Swerve might pull it out and pull the tights and get the win for him to move to the finals. I mean that would be the perfect. I again, like you said, Siren, I don't think this is a momentum killer as much as the IWC want to call it that. Saying they're gonna bury Swerve now. I don't see that. I still see him getting a push. I still see him win an individual title in 2024. Maybe he may even win the Continental Classic. I mean, think about freaking. If he wins the Continental Classic, he's got 3 titles to walk down the ramp with, both with the the Ring of Honor one, with the New Japan, and then the new Continental Classic. Can you just imagine him wearing one of those? And what's his name? His Nana, Prince Nana, walking down the dance with the other 2 belts. Like, just imagine that, him wearing the gold, where Swerve's got the other gold, and Nana just doing the dance. Like, that's just perfect television right there.
It is. It's so fun. And I mean, like, y'all are with me there that you believe that Swerve deserves some of that gold. I mean, like, it's for sure. He's been really putting in the work. You can definitely watch, like, I know that a lot of people watched him with that group in WWE. They're still all there. I can't remember what they were. But yeah.
Hit Row.
Yeah, like, and it's like and it's like a lot of people watch. I did not, and so like when I met him, it was like with the whole him coming in, and then they really jumped into that him and Keith Lee, and I really enjoyed that. And I'm like, damn, like this guy is gonna be good. And then it's just he's been proving week after week after week after week that's like you're not just gonna be good, man. You're gonna be freaking great. And I'm so stoked. It's gonna be awesome.
Right. So I know we're coming close to the end of the show, and I just thought maybe just a kind of round table quickly as we're approaching the end of the year. As we're coming to the end, maybe just put you guys on the spot. Like, who would you say would you pick your surprise for 2023? That they came in, and by the end of the year, you're like, I like this guy or I like this girl. They really impressed me this year. Who would you say, if you could, the one person kind of, you think right away on the top of your head, who would you think that'd be? Connor?
For sure not Maria Severe. She won't ever be my favorite.
Those for reasons, Connor.
I would say maybe Sky Blue. I mean, I've always liked Sky Blue, but this year she's really grown on me as like an actual, not a jobber anymore. Before she was just there for she was just there to job with someone, but now she's an actual contender in AEW. She's in a story now, so I'd probably say Sky Blue. That's really grown on me.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I'm sure there's a lot of fans would probably agree with you on that one. Adam, who would you say?
We were just talking about him, Swerve. You look at the year that he had in 2023, some of the big matches that he had. He had that double casket match with Sting and Darby Allin at All in the UK, with him and Christian against them. He had probably one of the best feuds of the year with him and Hangman Page. And he's in the tournament, and which I foresee he wins. So I'm very impressed where I've seen Swerve. I saw Swerve back when he was in Lucha Underground as Killshot, all the way to where he debuted in WWE with Hit Row, to even now in AEW. I think this is some of his best work right now in AEW. And I'm very excited to see. For a while, I didn't really like him, as a character. I was like, I'm over this guy. Like, I'm done. I'm not into his character anymore. This cocky, I'm over it. But it's kind of grown on me. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of see where this goes. And I actually want to see him be successful in AEW.
Yeah, no, it's a great pick. I totally agree with you as well. Siren, who's on your mind?
I absolutely was not the biggest fan of Toni Storm at all. I felt like, okay, but I'm like very, very protective of my AEW wrestlers. Okay. And so like when she came in, it was during like the end of like the hiring boom. That's the era that I call that time, the hiring boom. And so to me, it was just like another chick coming in here to stomp all over my women's roster. And I was not happy that she got titled up so quickly and everything like that. And now that she's like developed this timeless character, and watching like her, like the way that she did it too. It wasn't just like one day she was timeless. It was like you got Saraya having an interview with Renee and being like, did you just see, like, I'm pretty sure I just saw Toni using mayonnaise as a face mask. Like, chick is losing it. And they slowly did it until one day she was just like, timeless Toni Storm. And you were like, yeah, that's it. That's the thing. And so I'm gonna have to go with her because I hated her. Like actually, with the fiery burning passion of 1,000 suns. And now I love her. So
hey, that's a great pick as well. And I think there's big things that are on the horizon in 2024 for Toni Storm for sure. I'm gonna go with the greatest TNT champion of all time, Christian Cage. I think he's been an amazing year. He's been the one to watch. Like, I want to watch. I don't know if there's anyone else right now that I want to watch his promos, because I know he's just going to say something so off the cuff, so out there that he's great. And for being what now, I think he turned 50, or he's very close to turning 50. But I totally respect and I appreciate that, because I'm in my 40s. So I love seeing these guys that have reinvented themselves, are still not taking no for an answer. They can still compete with the young guys that bring that mind, that wrestling mind, from their experience, and bringing it and lifting everyone else around them. So I think he's done a great job. He's a great storyteller. I can't wait. I think there's some really good matches. I know we maybe might have another good year, maybe 2 years with him. But I think this year we're going to see some of his best matches coming up with Adam Copeland.
Yeah. I got to go with you on that one, because I'm glad you brought him up, because I just saw a post from this week with Monday Night Raw. They have the story of Nakamura and Cody Rhodes. And Nakamura called Cody Rhodes' dad inbred. And I saw a post because I was thinking it the same way. I was like, man, if Christian Cage was still there to feud with Cody Rhodes, I go, my God, that man. You could just imagine Christian be like, Cody, I heard your dad was a plumber. It's like, stop, Christian, stop.
No, that'd be great. No, you know what? It's become close. I think another successful year. It's been a great year as we come to a close. And I'm sure in the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking a little bit more of a wrap up, and also kind of our predictions for 2024, which is great. So as we come to a close, it's great to see you guys. Great to have a great cast. You guys are amazing. So thanks very much. I really appreciated my time in 2023 working with you guys. And I think there's some great things on the horizon for AEZ, All Elite Zone, myself. So any final thoughts?
Thank you guys so much for having me. I know I'm a lot.
And I just want to say, you guys, I haven't been on this show in a while, but you guys are doing tremendous work on this, on the Canada side. Me being always on the American side, but what you guys are doing with the Canada side, I'm thrilled to see. I talked to Connor about it, that just very excited to see what you guys, keep bringing to the podcast as well. So
Well, it's it's always great to have you. You're you know your stuff, and I love chatting with you too, Adam. So it's always great to have you. You can always come on anytime you like.
Appreciate it. I love it. I'll accept that invite every time.
Absolutely, you're good. Connor, any final thoughts for you?
I have 3 last words. Can anyone guess what they are?
What's that?
I probably shouldn't say it, but
I like cheese.
Marina Severe sucks.
I love you for so many reasons, Connor. Just gotta get that one last little bit in there. I'm just gonna roll across the bottom of the screen once in a while. We're not gonna see
I
it.
really hope she watches this show and goes, "Who is this guy?"
She's like, why does he hate me?
Funny
It's your
story,
toes. That's why.
my grandmother actually went to WrestleCade and they met Roderick Strong and Marina Severe, and she goes and tries to get Roderick Strong on our podcast, and she's hopefully she's not watching this, but that she'd like to come on here too, because I've been trying to get Roderick Strong on here for a while. And then
And you were just like,
I wasn't there for it, but I don't know. That would be interesting if Marina Severe came on here. I think I'd be open to that. I'd like to see how that would go, how that interaction would go. I don't know how that would go. Like that.
can we do pay-per-view?
I've never had an interview where I legit do not like her. Like, yeah, I like her as a person, but her work just sucks. I mean, maybe if Ronda Rousey would have stayed around, maybe that'd have been a good Ring of Honor thing, because she was in Ring of Honor for a little bit. I think it was like a 1-match thing. Maybe if they put them two together there in Ring of Honor, that would maybe rub off on Marina Severe, but I don't know.
She saw how she wrestled and she was like, yeah, I gotta go. I know we're friends, but real busy.
I just
Awesome.
hopefully she improves next year.
I believe.
All right, guys. Well, it's great having seen you again, and we'll do it all again next week. Take care. Have a good week, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.